If you're new to our channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joy Baird. It's springtime and it's time to do something that many of you may be doing, which is expanding the garden which you created last year or had last year from previous years. So what we have done here is we've purchased some pressure treated lumber from our big box store. We're going to make 3 4x8 beds. Now, pressure treated can be controversial based on what you feel about it. With the studies that we have shown, it's treated with a copper treatment now rather than an arsenic that used to be done in the 90s and 80s and previous years. So the copper is much more safer, not completely safe, but the copper is an element in which we need as humans and plants in order to grow. And the studies in which we've shown little to no leaching occurs from soil contact on the board into the soil, into the plants. So we feel it is totally safe. In addition, we can get multiple years out of this pressure treated lumber rather than we would conventional pine untreated lumber. Now, Western red cedar would be the ideal material as it is rot resistant. But with this, it's the best option that we have. So we're going to go with that. Again, your discretion whether or not you want to use pressure treated lumber in your yard and what works best for you. This is what works best for us. So we've got it pre-cut at the facility, at the big box store, which made it very convenient getting into the vehicle and getting it to the garden. So now we're going to go back to the back side of the garden where we're going to install the 3 4x8 beds in addition to the beds that we created last spring and put it together and show you how easily it is to construct a raised bed. Okay, so I've moved the boards back here. You can see we've got where the 3 beds will approximately go. Now over on this side here we've got our fall garlic that we'll harvest in late June, early July. So we can't do anything with that. However, we can utilize this bed for other crops. We're not going to put a raised bed in here. We're going to move off of it 3 foot. That brings me to my next point. The spacing between these beds, if you're not moving a lot of merchandise or product or lawnmowers or wheelbarrows, 2 foot's fine. However, we've gone to 3 foot. That's what we've done on the beds in the back of the shot there at the high end of the garden. 3 foot works really, really well for us. And those beds, there's 3 beds up there that's 4 foot wide by 12 foot long and 2 that is 4 foot by 16. These are 4x8. A good standard 32 square foot bed, typical residential bed, a good starter bed. You don't need to go extreme. The lumber is fairly inexpensive in this size of bed compared to a 16 foot long by 4 foot wide bed. Don't want anything wider than 4 foot because you have to be able to reach to the center. Now you can maybe, if you really wanted to get technical, go 4.5, but 4 foot wide is good. Now, fasteners, you can use galvanized screws, you can use any type of screws, 3, 4-inch screws. However, you may not have the availability to screw it in with a screw gun, or you don't have a screw gun, hammer and nails. We're using 3.5-inch galvanized smooth shanked nails. I would have preferred a 4-inch ring shank nail. However, where we were purchasing all the products, they didn't have any of those in stock and we didn't want to go 5. With those up there, we did 6-inch ring shank nails, which was major overkill. So 4 would be the max. 3.5 here works just fine. So let's get putting this together. Now this ground is very uneven. Not a problem at this point. The thing that we want to look at is the boards. If you look down the board, this is a bad example. Let's do it this way. If you look down the board, for a project like this, it's not that important if it's straight to the world. If it's warped, like if you're doing studs or floor joists, and it's all rainbowed out, bowed, not very good. For something like this, it's not that important. However, if you're going to be able to pick the lumber you want the straightest in order to get your beds as square as possible so everything kind of fits together better. So let's do it this way. I want to put See the bad piece, or the piece here that got shaved off a little bit. I want to put that at the bottom, so let me invert this. Okay, now come up here and you can see how we're going to put this together. The most difficult part is the first nailing here, because once you get the two end caps on, then you can take this, flip it, and then have the 4-foot pieces in the air, and then set your other board on top, and it's much easier to assemble that way. It can be done one person, two person, it makes it even better. So we can go from there. So this is what the 3.5-inch smooth shank nails look like. They're going to be fine. If we do find for some reason that the boards begin to pull away over time, we can go ahead and I can get some 4-inch ring shank nails and just hammer it in. We don't find pre-drilling is necessary. Now, when you're assembling the beds, you want to get the maximum potential out of this bed as possible. So you can do it a couple of different ways. You could do it like this, butt it up at the end and nail that way, which in turn will make your bed about 2.5 inches thinner or not as wide. However, if you do it this way, you're going to make the bed a little shorter, so it really doesn't make a difference. It's all what you want. You know, if it's pleasing to you to go one way or the other, it makes no difference to us. So the main importance here when putting this together is to get this flush on the back side here, so it's smooth there, and then here. So the easiest way to go about doing that, if you're by yourself, is to start the nails, and remember how wide this is. That way you know how far in to start your nails. And that's what happens. Nail goes flying. So you don't want to go too far, because you just want to get it started and almost through. And that sometimes the nail bends. We'll save that one for something else. Hole's already started, so that'll be easy. Okay. So now we want to find somewhat of a level area here. And I mean, again, we're not building a house here, but we do want it to be as flush as possible, which it's smooth there, and on the back side here it's flush. So we are going to, and that's the advantage to getting that nail started early. And with these being 3.5-inch nails instead of 6-inch nails, you don't have to worry about trying to get that much, get it straight all the way through there, because we did have some come out the side back there because we overkilled on the nail. So that's the basic construction of one corner of the bed, and we're going to do that over and over again until we get these 3 beds constructed. Then we'll bring you back and talk about the leveling and the positioning of the beds, and we'll wrap this whole thing up. Okay, so we've constructed our 3 4x8 raised beds, 10 inches high. These are 2x10s. Don't know if I mentioned that or not. So what we've done is we've got it off the fence here. We've measured off that to square this up to make that look nice. Now the reason why this bed is kind of out in the open is because we do have an asparagus patch here, and then in front of you, this is one of our golden raspberries. We will purchase 2, maybe 3 more to fill in this gap here. Now the only disadvantage to this whole procedure is this does not give us a 3-foot perimeter here. Now what we may do before we fill with soil is bump this side off just a little bit. This is 36 inches from the asparagus patch to the bed. We may drop that to about 30 in order to give a little more cushion on that side as those berry plants expand. So the other thing is with the leveling of it, it's not required, it's not necessary, it's not needed, If you feel that you want to get these beds perfectly level with the world, that's great. If you come down here, you can see that this one here is all over the place. We've got gaps here, I've got a gap here, and so what we can do on this particular one is basically just get an eye level, take the centers out a little bit, drop it down some. But when we did the beds up there, we did try to somewhat level, but in the end, whether your bed is level or inch high on one end or quarter of inch low on the other, tomatoes and peppers and eggplants and all that's going to grow just fine. So it's up to your discretion how precise you want it. We're not trying to level the floor of the bathroom here. So additionally, what we are not doing with these beds that we did up on the high end with those other beds is we would put support, 2x4 support post here. We would push it in the ground about a foot, nail it to the bed to keep it from bowing out. I don't see that that's beneficial even on those beds up there. We're not doing it here. Saves cost on lumber, saves cost on nails and labor and time. So now the next thing, our next step will be ordering bulk soil, compost mix, raised bed mix, and fill these up. Each 32 square foot bed, in this instance, 2x10, takes about 1 cubic yard of soil. Give or take a fraction of this or that based on how much fill you already have in the bottom. So that gives you an idea. Now, if we was to buy, a cubic yard is 27 cubic feet of soil. If we was to go buy it at the big box store in bags, let's just take a round number of 10, that would be $270 to fill a bed such as this. We can buy in bulk and get $40 a yard to fill all of these beds for under what it would cost in a bag situation. So keep that in mind when you're looking to buy from your local garden center. They usually have a pre-made mix, or someone locally has something like that. So building raised beds, it's a very easy process. It's an investment, yes, in order to guarantee or increase your guarantee of great produce, minimizing the weeds, having good nutrient-rich soil, and to control what you're growing and make it easier for you in the end. Thanks for watching. Join me again next time for more organic gardening, seed starting tips, and raised bed construction.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.